Hello students, and welcome to Government. Today we're going to be doing an activity, and this is called Protest Sign and Technology Impact. This is going to be on Unit 4, Lesson 8, American Democracy. This two-part assignment, make sure your assignment is completed per the directions given. The introduction, civil disobedience is a form of protest in which protesters deliberately violate a law. Examples of movements to reform society through nonviolent protest run throughout the annals of history. Today's issues are no different from those of the past. Individuals still come into conflict with the needs of society. Consider the following dilemmas and then answer the question at the end. Okay, there's going to be two dilemmas, scenarios that they're going to set up. Number one is going to be man's need versus society's need. Scenario number two that's going to create a dilemma is individuals' rights versus public safety. And then what I suggest is you do number one first, man's needs versus society's needs. Read the dilemma, read the scenario, and then turn over and go to the assignment, which assignment number one is design a protest sign or a poster that includes a slogan that you would use as a farmer to protest the government's actions. When complete, turn this in to your teacher. Now what I'm going to look for is you can do one or two things. The first one is you can draw it on a regular sheet of paper or draw it on a poster size, and it needs to have certain elements to it. It needs to explain what your point of view is, which side you're taking. It needs to explain how you would fix it through pictures, and what your protest is about. Okay, so those three basic elements, I need to see what you're doing there on it. And then one or two things you can do. You can take a picture of it, then you can email it to me. If you email it to me, I need to know that it is the Protest Sign and Technology Impact, Unit 4, Lesson 8 protest sign. You need to make sure you put it somewhere on that when you email it to me. In fact, you need to put that on there anyway. And then, or if you don't want to take a picture of it and email it to me, you can bring it up to the school because we're here from 8 to 3 o'clock and just drop it off. And then I can mark you off on it. Okay? The second thing that you have to finish before I will give you a grade on it is the second scenario. The second scenario is individuals' rights versus public safety. And once you read that, then you're going to go to assignment 2, which says, has technology reduced the right of an individual? In the case of the airport scanner, how will that new technology impact the individual's rights? Will you allow yourself to be screened with a scanner that reveals every part of your body under the justification of improving public safety? In other words, would you be willing to subordinate your right for public goods? Why or why not? Write a paper considering the above questions in your response. You may write your paper in the given space. Okay, this paper is going to be a 5-paragraph essay. You're going to give your introduction, which is your introduction is going to be based on civil disobedience. So what I would suggest you're going to do is you're going to go back to the previous lesson, which is going to be lesson 8 in Unit 4. And I would suggest reading the whole thing, of course, but in particular, I want you to pay particular attention to this section right here under civil disobedience. Pay particular attention to it because it's going to talk about the very subject, and you can use information from here for your introduction. Because remember, introduction, you're not talking about the original argument that you're going to make, the original point. You're introducing back information in an introduction. You don't want to say anything about scanners in the introduction until you get to your thesis statement. But I would read this information here, and then this one, cases of civil disobedience, and you can review some of the cases of civil disobedience, which is right here, the Boston Tea Party, anti-war movement, and so on and so forth. It talks about Martin Luther King. You have anti-nuclear movement, environmental acts, and things like that. So review over this section again and use information from here to do your introduction. Then the rest of it's kind of almost opinion. You can do your introduction will be 5 sentences, And then your second paragraph will be a body paragraph. That's where you're going to start talking about the scanner, the problems with the scanner, and your issue with it. Do you think it's okay? Do you think it's wrong? Do some research. You're going to have to look up the scanners, the full body scanners, and do some research on this and come up with your own opinion, whether you think it's treading on your rights, whether you would protest against it, or whether you'd be for it. And then you're just going to finish answering that question. Has assignment part 2, assignment 2. Use that as your to build your bodies, because you're going to have an introduction, body 1, body 2, and then you're going to body 3, and then you're going to have your summary, which you're going to take that information and you're going to summarize it. You don't necessarily have to stay on the scanner issue. You might use paragraph 1 or 2, excuse me. You might use body paragraph 1, which is paragraph 2, to introduce the scanner issue. Then you might use paragraph 3 to start making your point. You might use facts, reasons, examples, and details, which is Fred, in order to make that point. And then paragraph 4, you might make your argument there for or against it. So use the other paragraphs to kind of build and make your argument. And then paragraph 5, then you do your summary. You summarize it, you bring it all together. What's this information? You make your final statement, and it's done. Then you can turn in both to me if you want to, whether you do assignment 1 as a drawing, or you go to Google Docs and you pull pictures off of images and build yourself a poster, and then you upload both of those to me, and then for grading, you can continue on with your course. If you have any questions, be sure to call me at the school. Also, some of you have my cell phone number. You can also reach me through my email, or you can directly message me through the PLP or GoGuardian during the day. There are several ways. There's no reason why you can't get a hold of me in a period of time. Stay safe. If you have any questions, like I said, call, ask for help. We're here from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Be safe and have a good one. We'll see you when you see you.